Hi, I'm CJ Ellenberg with Transwest Truck Trailer RV in Fredrick, Colorado. We've got a brand new Cimarron stock combo sitting behind me. And when I mean brand new, I mean brand new. This is a 2026 model. So we are on to the 26 models. That started happening May 1st. So you're gonna start seeing some of these guys come in on the lot. So this is such a cool stock combo because not only are stock combos really versatile from the standpoint of hauling livestock, hauling horses, you can haul toys, you can do about anything you want with them. You got a front dressing room, you can lock Tack up in, you can spend the night in it. Again, covers kind of all the bases. But let's go ahead and take a look at the drawing. I'll show you how the trailer is actually laid out. This trailer is 26 foot on the floor. So it's a little bit bigger than the kind of standard you see, the 20s, the 24s. This one's 26. It is 7'6" wide, so it's extra wide. 7'1" tall, which is the standard height. This one has a 5.5 foot short wall front tack room, but this is the dual entry, so that dual tack door, so you can work off of either side of that trailer. So really awesome setup, probably the most popular tack setup that we've seen on our using trailers over the last couple years. And as we walk through this video, you'll understand why when I start showing you some stuff. With the Cimarron, you're all aluminum construction. You have an 8-year structure warranty, 3-year hardware warranty, 1 year no questions asked warranty on your tires. We'll talk about that when we get back to the axles. We'll start here at the nose. On this guy here, it's got the stainless sheeted nose on this. I like this look of the stainless rather than the color match. The reasoning why is it just cleans up a lot better. Again, this is a good looking trailer. It just finishes off really nice, a lot easier to clean. You're gonna have 3 marker lights on that top rail. That became standard on the 25 models. You know, we were adding those to a lot of our custom trailers, bigger trailers, and they just made it a standard option. And I think it's a good look to the trailer itself. With this being a gooseneck, you're gonna have a coupler. This one is made by B&W. So I'm sure you're all familiar with B&W, hitches. This is an actual coupler. Cimarron and B&W teamed up years ago, just kind of by chance. They were there checking out some welders. They got talking to them. The coupler, the company that they were purchasing their couplers from, got acquired by another company. They had a hard time getting them. So got talking to B&W, and B&W said, well, let's design one, let's build one for you. So this is about the 3rd generation of it. This one here, we're always trying to improve, but this one here, we feel really good about. This one's been out a couple years now. It's a lower profile handle, which allows us to drill another hole lower. It used to be a taller handle. Well, we couldn't drill a hole right there because of it. So now, not necessarily this trailer, but when we get into maybe some of the larger trailers, big stock trailers, big trainer trailers, living quarters, where maybe they're pulling it with a hauler, something a little bit bigger, it allows us a lot more flexibility to adjust this coupler where we need to. And we're gonna talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. Underneath the gooseneck, this is a really well-equipped trailer. So instead of going with a manual crankjack, we opted for the equalizer electric over hydraulic with a manual override option. This is great. It is so nice to be able to push a button and up and down this goes. This is a pretty good sized tack room. So if you leave a lot of stuff in there, it does add a little bit of weight. Why want to hand crank that guy where you can actually push a button and up and down this guy goes. And it's so simple. It's actually right over here on driver's side. Again, so easy to push up and down. It does have the manual option. So if you get into an emergency situation, there's another version out there that doesn't have this. So you have to get power to it. But in this instance here, I can override it and I can pump it on or off the truck, okay? A customer came in a few months ago. They upgraded from a manual crankjack to another equalizer option that didn't have the manual override option. And she said, first thing that she walked up to and looked at her new trailer that had this, she goes, oh great, this one has the manual override. She goes, that one burned us before. She said, I'm so glad that you guys put that on there. Through our parts and service department, this is the one we like to add as well, just because we're big believers in it. Spare tires located to the left of it. In this instance here, if you pay attention to a lot of our inventory, a lot of times you'll see this spare tire elevated. Well, there's a reasoning why. Those are standard width trailers, so a little bit narrower. So this takes a larger footprint than the manual crankjack. So on those instances, the spare is located up a little bit higher because everything's a little bit more compact because we've moved the trailer, the box, in a little bit by being 6'10" wide versus this one being 7'6". So spare's located right there. You're gonna get your battery box. So that's part of this system. So you're gonna get a 12-volt battery, battery disconnect. That's this little knob right up here. That is now standard as far as this package goes when you get this jack. This was an item that we were continually adding to our inventory. It was not standard. And we kept pushing them, hey, you need to make this standard. And the reasoning why is because there's so many lights on this. Obviously we have a battery. We have to worry about, you know, the battery getting drained down. Last thing you want to do is come up to this, push the button, no juice. Now, you do have the manual option, you can, so you're not stuck. But how much easier would it be to just reach up, turn this guy off when you walk away from the trailer? That's what I tell customers. When you park this trailer and leave it, you know, just turn that guy off. It'll kill all power. So if we accidentally leave a tack light on, we're not draining the actual battery itself. So now that is a standard feature. You're also going to get this guy. This kit started coming along late, I guess shortly after the 25 models came out. That is a RedArc charger. Let me just break it down as easy as I can tell you. That is a supercharger for this battery. What it is it's a true 3-staging charger. It's going to give a lot more long life and longevity to this battery because we're going to be able to keep it charged up. Our truck always worked as a trickle charger in the older systems. It didn't have this, but it's very slow charging. So, you know, it's really hard to get a battery good and charged up to where this guy here is actually going to help with that process, keeping it good and charged up and topping it off at those moments. The other thing too is it'll tell you what stage it's in the charging process, but also when we plug it into the truck, it will tell us if we have power coming from the tow vehicle. So many times we see trucks come in, they're buying their new trailer, we plug in and something's off and they go, oh, it's the trailer, it's not the truck, it works on my other one. And we get looking, we actually have 7-pin testers that we can plug into the truck and it'll tell us if we have power coming from the truck. 9 times out of 10, it's a blown fuse, something with the plug, we can get that figured out. But this guy right here will tell us as soon as we plug into that truck if we have power coming from the actual tow vehicle itself. The other thing is it'll also make sure we're not having issues going back from the trailer to the truck. It'll protect the truck from blowing those fuses, those type of items there. So really nice piece, a nice feature that they went in and added. If you have this battery and this jack, you're gonna get the RedArc charger. So I talked a little bit about that coupler. One thing that makes that coupler also really nice is obviously we have the ability to adjust the ride height of this trailer. And what we want is we want equal weight distribution on the axles, so we want the trailer running nice and level. But we also have to worry about bed clearance. And if you're familiar with these newer trucks, one of the issues is the beds are so much taller on the newer styles. You know, Ford and Rams have always had a little bit taller bed height, but then GM changed their body style a few years ago. They got taller. So one thing we have to worry about is bed clearance. Who wants to tear up the bed on an $80,000, $85,000 plus truck? Nobody does. So standard over the years has been 50 inches. So history lesson. In the early 2000s, the gooseneck drop wall standard height was 47. Well, what happened? All the trucks changed their body styles. We have to adjust to that side of the market. So the industry standard kind of changed to a 50-inch gooseneck drop wall. Well, it happened again over the last few years. So we've gone on in a lot of our using trailers. It's a case-by-case basis. You know, 17.5-inch wheels, 19.5-inch wheels, air ride suspension. Those will come into play when we're making this decision. But for the most part, a lot of our using trailers are a 53-inch gooseneck drop wall height. And the reason why is it allows us to have more bed clearance, but then also make sure we're running level, adjusting that coupler. We have that extra hole if we need to go up and down, but allows us to have that bed clearance. So, you know, we really strive for, on a using trailer, at least 6 inches, if not bigger, if we can. You know, you're looking right there. If we hook this guy up, I personally like to be able to put my pinky right on the bed and maybe just graze the bottom of this. You're looking at about 8.5 inches of clearance right there. That is ideal. I'm not going to say you're never going to tear up a bed on a truck, There are circumstances and things that happen, but now we've drastically reduced the chances of it by making this a 53-inch gooseneck drop wall height. So that's something we really put a lot of emphasis on, and take it, again, a case-by-case basis when we're ordering inventory. So this one here is white sheeting, so that is standard. Silver metallic, charcoal metallic, black, caribou brown is a new one that's out there, but there are some options for you. We can do some custom colors. There is an upcharge to those, but white is standard. But again, those other colors are available. Now, the tack room. This is where this trailer gets really unique, and you can see why it's so popular. I've got both doors open so you can see completely through this tack room. We like to say this is a his and hers tack room. If you're traveling with somebody, you want to put your saddles and your horses on one side of the trailer. I don't have to walk to the other side of the trailer to go get tack. You know, the other joke is you put, you know, so-and-so that you're not as big of a fan of, or their horse, you put them on the other side of the trailer where it's more of a standard tack with a door on just one side. They're the ones that have to pack their stuff around to that side of the trailer. Toward this, you can work off of both sides, so it makes it so nice. You can tie up certain horses on this side of the trailer, on that side of the trailer, and all their tack, saddles, everything is right here on that side. So first thing is big door, 42-inch wide door, so an oversized door, and I'll show you why here in a minute. But on that door, you're gonna get a 4-tier blanket pole rack. It's on a gas shock, so this guy here swings out, tucks up against the door, and then we've got a brush tray, so good catch-all for our smaller miscellaneous items, fly sprays, you know, hoof picks, brushes, anything like that. Anytime we have a front tack room, we try to, again, put a lot of emphasis on making sure it has a fold-up step, because where I'm standing to the bottom of this door frame, that's a big step. Now here in a second, I'll show you this has a swing-out saddle rack, but we still might haul saddles in there. We still might haul other items in this tack room. It makes it so much easier getting in and out of this tack room by having a fold-up step. So we really try to put those on any tack rooms. Maybe even got little ones that are traveling with you. You know, again, it makes it so much easier getting in and out of these tack rooms. And then the 42-inch wide door, and the reason why is to accommodate a swing-out saddle rack. So as you can see, there's still space here that I can get in between and walk in and out of the tack room. 3 saddle pads on this post here. These are adjustable. I can slide them up and down. I can adjust them. I can add more. I can remove them, whatever I want. But what I want you to notice is if this was a narrower door, which a lot of competition has a narrower door, when we go to swing it in or out and you look at this door frame, now imagine saddles on this guy. Okay, if this door frame was in another 6 inches, you know, we have the potential to drag our saddles on these door frames going in and out, and that's not what we want to do. So the wider door is for that reasoning there. And then obviously when it's swung in, you have a ton of space coming in and out of this tack room. First thing you're going to notice is the floor. Instead of carpet, I am not a fan of carpet because it just holds stains, it holds odor, it's hard to clean, you'll never get it to look like the day it was brand new. And then you have rubber mats, which is another option, but this is a gray rubber mat that, as you can see, it's cut to fit and it's sealed on the edges. So this guy here is down and we don't have to worry about dirt getting underneath it. I didn't really notice it until we started putting it on trailers. I started noticing it like airports. You know, you go to maybe a sporting event or, you know, somewhere where it's really high traffic area for foot traffic, and you start noticing this type of flooring on walkways, and it holds up extremely well. And again, it's so easy to clean. So big fan of this. We're incorporating this on horse trailers and stock trailers, show trailers, a little bit of everywhere on this. It's become really popular. Then as we come in, you're going to have a boot box on the drop wall. 12-inch boot box goes partial way. Another good catch-all. Maybe it's tools to, you know, tire changing equipment. Again, just little items that can float around. You know, give them a place to live where they're not just bouncing around on the floor. You can use it as a bench to hang out in here, and then as a step going up into the actual gooseneck area. So this trailer is 7.6 wide, so massive, you know, gooseneck on this guy. A Cimarron nose standard is 8.2. they're a lot longer than a lot of the competition. So we have a lot more storage, but then if you wanted to throw like a mattress up here, some bedrolls, sleeping bags, you've got a lot of space. You've got windows so you can see out. You can create a cross breeze. Really nice from that standpoint. We put a light up dead center of the nose. That's a feature that we like. You know, typically we like them above tack doors, but because of the depth of this nose, the carpet, you know, it's gray, so it darkens it a touch, but we like that LED light there. And then over to the right hand side, over on the passenger side, you see that tray up there. That is going to be a storage tray for our plexiglass. So we'll talk about that when we get to the back of the trailer, but keep that in mind, and that's where that storage tray is for those type of items. It's framed for an air conditioner. Anytime you have a front tack room, it's framed for it. It just saves so much time and hassle, and honestly money, if you're wanting to add like an air conditioner, which you need a power package, but 12 volt, you know, fan, because we have 12 volt power, or even a manual camper style, they're all the same footprint. So that piece of it's already done. It saves a lot of, again, time and money by having that little piece already done when we build the trailer. Shelf over here between the door and that gooseneck drop wall. It's an 18-inch deep. It's got a 2-inch lip. It's got rubber up there, so it's a great storage up top. You know, maybe throw your hat cans, you know, anything like that. You've got a clothes rod below, so, you know, show shirts. You can hop into this front tack room and change into a shirt if you need to. Garment bags aren't taking up, you know, space in the back seat of your pickup. Those have become so popular. So anytime we can incorporate those guys, we're trying to when we're building these trailers here. Back behind this saddle rack is going to be, I'll get this guy out of the way so you can see, 25-gallon corner water tank. That's wasted space back there. So let's stick that water tank back there. It's gravity feed, fill from the top, empty from the bottom. You get a hose. I recommend put a ball valve on the end of that hose. You can set buckets right outside the tack room, fill up buckets. I don't have to pack buckets from a hydrant where I don't know where it is and it's a long ways away. Traveling in summer months, you know, it's hot. Having water right here at the trailer is definitely nice. Maybe you have a horse that only likes water from home. They're finicky, so you can actually carry 25 gallons of that water right here. So definitely a nice piece. We continually add it on through our parts and service department. We just started ordering a lot of the trailers with that tank because it's so popular. On the partition wall, fully carpeted, 2 rows of bridle hooks. Those are aluminum powder coated, so those are really stout. Cimarron designed these, so good spacing, really good height. That's the one thing you notice is a lot of those have bridle hooks, but their hooks are really short. So, you know, you walk in and you just see reins laying on the ground or lead ropes laying on the ground or stuff completely falling off because you stack so much on there. But good spacing between them, good depth off the wall, but again, that height, and they are stout by having them aluminum powder coated. And then the carpet protects everything, protects that wall. You see that quarter moon on a lot of trades we look at, because bits have been doing this against that aluminum and it scuffs it up to where this will protect it. It also makes noise when you're traveling, so it will deaden that noise with our animals on the other side of this tack room itself. So you have LED lights above each door. So those are, again, those big OptiBright lights. We were continually putting those on as our standard as long as they were available. Now they are a standard option from Cimarron on their front tack rooms. The other thing that we like to do is we like to go in, one switch is standard, but you have 2 access points to this front tack room. So we put light switches on either side right by the door. So it doesn't matter what side of the tack you enter on or exit, you can turn lights on or off from right there. Speaking of lights, we have marker button lights. We added a few extras to this guy, but then as you can see, we did 2 16-inch awning lights over here on this side of the trailer. We'll do the same. We've done the same on the driver's side, I'll show you, but we positioned one right above the tack door and then one somewhat center of that stall area, kind of almost middle of the wheel well area. That way you have some lights out here as well. So whether you know, doing something early in the morning or late at night, you have that light coverage. They shoot down and out. They don't protrude up like a pedestal light. I'm not as big of a fan of pedestal lights because if you go into some country where you're gonna maybe go under some tree branches, maybe even just pulling in your driveway, you know, those can easily be knocked off because they stick up and off the side of the trailer. Then as we get into the stall area, okay, as you can see, stock sides here, 2 air gaps with plexiglass. So we have this plexiglass, and this track is built into all their stock trailers. Now granted, we ordered this one with plexiglass, but if you have a Cimarron that is a stock trailer and it doesn't have plexiglass, it can be added because that track's already there. They have this notch here in the middle, so we don't have to get any, you know, really tools. I'll show you a tool here in a second. But to remove any hardware in order to slide these guys out. But this notch, dead center of the notch forward to where it starts is 4 foot. And then we try to keep them in 4-inch increments as best we can. Now we might have to have a shorty or something like that mixed in there. But then what we can do is we can take this plexiglass out, and one trick is a tool, pocket knife. I like to just kind of get them in between the two, and then as I slide it out, once I have the first one out, the rest of them are really easy to grab, but that's a little trick. But if I'm gonna take out this plexiglass, remember on the drawing, this is a slant wall, so we have different lengths of plexiglass on each side of the trailer. So if you wanna save a lot of time and hassle, bad words, when I take out passenger lower, keep a roll of masking tape, painter's tape, and a Sharpie in that front tack room. Because when I take out passenger lower, I'm gonna tape them all together, I'm gonna write passenger lower. I'm gonna do the same for the upper air gap. And then when I get to driver's side, I'm gonna do the same. Because when I go to put this plexiglass in, it's gonna save me so much time, and I mean a lot of time. Imagine a puzzle that you don't get to see the picture of. You're kind of trying to figure out, where does this go, where does this go? I've been out here half hour on used trailers trying to get plexiglass back in them. So definitely nice little trick there to keep in mind. You have the extrusion. We have some tie rings out here, so we have 4 of those. More tie rings can be added. As long as we have the upright posts, we can add more tie rings. Okay, 2 7,000-pound Dexter rubber torsion axles with electric brakes. So obviously, our tow vehicle will have to have an integrated brake controller or an aftermarket. If you need help with an aftermarket, our parts and service department can help you out with that. 16-inch aluminum wheels. And we upgraded from a 10-ply tire to a 14-ply tire on this guy. So it's a lot bigger, heavier duty tire. You know, we went from 24 to 26 foot. So no questions asked warranty on these tires. I mentioned that. If you catch road debris, you have a blowout, you catch a nail that catches the sidewall and it can't be patched, they will replace it. No questions asked from the date you purchase it. So for 1 year. These are also bolt-on fenders rather than weld-on. So bolt-on will save you a lot of time and money from versus a weld-on, because with weld-on you have to cut it off, weld a new one on, and to where this will again save you a lot of time and money from that standpoint. All right, as we get to the stall area here, we have a gate, single gate with a slider. So if you needed to butt up against an alleyway, butt up against another trailer, you've got that slider that we can utilize there. Seems like now's a good time we should just go into the stall area. We'll just go in. So we got a butt strap here. So you do have the ability to kind of secure, you know, horses in here if need be before you get the gate open. We like the strap rather than a bar because that's just a massive piece of, you know, metal that we'd have across there. So the strap's a little bit safer. But then as we come into the stall area here, we're gonna have a fixed gate. Locks over, pins up high, and then it's got a foot to rest on. But this is a fixed gate, so keep that in mind. From the partition wall to that gate that matches that slant, it's 7 foot. So typically on our horse trailers, our drop down feed doors are 39 inches. So 39, 39, we went ahead and made this 42 and 42. So if you've got some bigger horses that we need to accommodate, you know, we can. We have a stud divider ahead of that fixed gate. So 2 stalls up here, slam latch, so it's got this paddle latch. So everything's recessed into the wall itself. So, it, you know, again, horse safety, animal safety is number 1. This is a cast aluminum piece that's powder coated. You see everything's got a radius to it. And then a plastic, heavy UHMW plastic paddle latch. So we don't have that metal to metal contact, that rattle in here. And it's so easy to use. One-handed operation. So if I'm leading a horse, I can literally keep their lead rope in my hand, and I can open and close these guys. I'm not having to hold this in place and put a pin, so it's a lot safer from that standpoint. The center gate's on the exact same paddle latch there. And then you notice the kick mat. So we did kick mat on this guy, and with it being 7.6 wide, you're gonna have a little bit of a wheel well on the inside here. Everything's tapered though, so you see it's tapered up. So again, we're trying to avoid those really kind of sharp angles, anything along those lines. But behind this kick mat are going to be these upright posts and then the extrusion. So it's got a hollow core to it, so it gains so much strength by having that hollow core in the actual extrusion itself. But if you notice on this back side, on the inside here, it's flat as they can make it. So if you start looking at the posts, where the posts and the extrusion meet, it's not like other ones where it's got that bubble to it because of the extrusion, where manure can get behind it and dirt can get behind it. And when you go to clean it out, it's just a pain because it's almost like it's never ending. But this guy here will keep everything nice and clean because it's flush to these. These upright posts, pay attention to these guys too. These are almost a perfect square. They're not quite, but dang close to it, compared to the roof bows. And the reason why I point that out is because a lot of the competition uses those roof bows as their side posts. As you can see, they've got a bow to them. We can actually put a little bit of, we can adjust them a little bit and manipulate them a little bit. So we have that arch to the roof. But for example, if you take a 20-foot stick of that roof bow, it'll wobble like a noodle in your hand. If you take a 20-foot stick of this, it's like a pencil. It's one motion. So these are a lot stouter upright posts than you'll see out there in the industry. And if you look down the side of this trailer, there's a bunch of them. So that's the real kind of skeleton of this trailer itself. And that's what you're getting is that added strength there. So really, really cool from that standpoint. This guy here, the other thing that's really cool about this front stud divider is, if we look up front here, you're going to notice there's a block up high and then there's a block on the floor. And what that is this guy right here. You grab yourself and a friend, I can unpin this and we can remove this actual divider out of here. So it's their AR style latch. It's really easy to use. It just makes this trailer that much more versatile. Like I talked about the combo, the versatility is kind of the key selling point on them as it is, and why customers love them so much. But now I can take this trailer and have it to where I have two stalls, with this divider here in the middle, or I can take it out and I can create, a box stall or a little bit more standard kind of livestock stall, from that standpoint. But the stud divider is really nice too, because if you need to separate somebody, you have that capability. If you want to use it as storage, you don't have to worry about things getting underneath animals as we travel. So definitely a nice feature there and a nice add-on that we've done on a lot of these trailers. Now with plexiglass, if the plexiglass is in, obviously we can't throw a lead rope around a post. We're going to do everything we can to keep Jody in here and keep him nice and dry as we're doing this video, and myself as well. So we're going to spend a little bit of time in the stall area. Tie rail. So I can't throw a lead rope around this because of the plexiglass. So we did a tie rail between the two air gaps so we can easily tie somebody up if we need to. You can go in between the posts. Obviously when the plexiglass is out, you've got that capability to throw a lead rope around there. But again, kick mat. So the kick mat goes all the way around both sides of the stall area and then on against the partition wall there. Now, LED lights again, couple in here. There's two up to the front, one here at the back, so there's three of them on that side. Again, those Optibrights, with them being LED, is not a big power draw, and boy do they put out a lot of light. You can see why we're such a fan of them. Up on the roof, we've got 4 roof vents, so 2-way roof vents. We can manipulate airflow by opening those up to force air down, open them up to release air if we need to. That's really key, especially in the winter months. as animals are sitting in here, maybe we have the plexiglass, body heat rises, let's get it away from it. But you can manipulate that actual temperature by having those in there. I talked about those roof bows, so you can see there's an arch to this roof because we want to get moisture away from and on top of the trailer. But we don't necessarily need as strong of a post up there. It's because of what's on the top side, and that is the insulated roof. That is standard on every single Cimarron. Doesn't matter if it's this combo, these big living quarters over here, using trailers, bumper pole, they all have the exact same roof. And that is a 1/2 inch thick, reinforced honeycomb design, insulated roof, okay? So we don't need the added strength. We can get away with these roof bows, but then it allows us to have that arch to it as well. But this roof is strong. It will take 150 pounds per square foot. And I've actually got a cutout of it right here that I'll show you. A little wet. But this guy right here, you can see the honeycomb design. You can see the thickness of it. I can walk on this roof and I won't dent it. It'll take 150 pounds per square foot. I don't have to find roof bows. A lot of manufacturers, if you get up on the roof, you gotta find those roof bows or you're gonna dent the roof itself. But as you can see, the strength of this guy, and again, the design. So what we have is it's got an R3 thermal value. It's got a gel coating on the top side. So, it's got that really kind of sleek, kind of clean look to the top side of it. Again, I can walk on it, so it'll take substantial hail as well. It has to take big, big hail to do damage to these roofs. So, here in Colorado, we do have hail. So you might have noticed during the video, you caught some of our hail canopies in the background. A lot of our inventory that migrates in there is something with aluminum sheeted roof. Something that could, actually damage a trailer very easily, leave all those dimples in it, to where we can migrate a lot of our Cimarrons out from underneath the canopies because they handle that hail so much better. The other important piece of it is what it does for stall area temperature. It will keep the stall area 20% cooler than an aluminum sheeted roof. So on really hot summer months, it will keep it so much cooler by having that insulated roof. It makes a massive difference. We love taking customers that come into the lot on a real hot day, 95 degrees, summer, 5 p.m. It's been baking out here on this asphalt all day. Take them to one manufacturer horse trailer that's sealed up, and then take them to a Cimarron, and you'll physically tell a difference in just the temperature of that stall area. Another piece we'll go down to is the floor, so the opposite side. So this is the floor. This is a 12-inch extruded deck piece. This actually sits on this trailer like this, so it runs across. But if you notice, you have tongue and groove. We've got some notches, so the floor actually starts locking together and starts gaining even more strength as we build it. They actually build them upside down in the bottom rails, do the entire floor, do their welds across, then they'll flip the whole trailer over and then go ahead and start going up from there. But if you notice where these pieces are, 4-inch centers. So back in 2016, they had the industry's best floor, 4-inch centers. So it kind of looked more like this. It didn't have this V-truss in the middle. Well, then they changed it to this V-truss. So they had the best floor in the industry, and then they improved it. Strongest shape out there is a triangle. So 60% shear force strength stronger this floor than the previous. Still has 4-inch centers. Why that's important is whenever we have a horse, cow, anything that size standing on this floor, wherever they're at, they're standing on probably multiple support beams. If you want to tell quality construction of an all aluminum trailer, crawl underneath the floor and look. You'll see their centers. 12 inches, 9 inches, 16 inches. They'll spread them out. Well, that's where those pits can happen because we have the weight of a horse, weight of a cow in there. And they'll just have a sheet of aluminum that's tack welded from the bottom. So that's where, again, it's a cheaper made trailer. And again, that's where urine can collect and start to corrode the floor. So again, best flooring on the industry. So again, they're standing on a support beam wherever they are on a Cimarron trailer. So that brings me to something I wanted to talk about, because on all aluminum trailers, we have to care for them, right? So urine is acidic, it will corrode a floor. So in this instance here, this has rubber mats, as you can see. You need to probably at least once a year pull these mats out and clean this floor. Power wash it out, let it dry, assess it, get you some baking soda, sprinkle it down. You'll need a lot of it, more than you think you do. But if you sprinkle that down, it'll counteract the acidity of urine, and then you put your mats back in. So it's something we do need to care for on all aluminum trailers. Doesn't matter what manufacturer. If you're using it more, you might have to do it more often. But these rubber mats, it's kind of like wrestling an alligator, right? To pull them out, not fun. An option is you could go with worm flooring, so you could upgrade to that, so it's permanent and unpenetrable. But I've had to do this before. It's not fun. Pulling these guys out is a pain. These guys here, our parts department sells these. These are called an Easy Grip. It's a mat pulling tool. So really simple. This makes a world of a difference when you're doing this. You just get your mat up a little bit, push them in, and then it locks. And guess what? I can pull a mat in or out. So simple. With as rainy as it is, I'm not going to get out here too far. And then putting them back in, again, really simple from the standpoint of being able to grip them and getting a hold of them. So again, our parts department sells these. If you have a trailer with rubber mats, I highly suggest investing in these. One of them do the trick. Two of them's a little bit nicer because, again, as you saw, I can get a hold of them with both hands and get them out of there. All right, we'll shut our rear gate here because I want you to notice the rubber bumper. This rubber bumper on their stock trailers is a little bit bigger than on the horse trailers. But as we talked about, we might butt up against an alleyway or another trailer. So by having that bigger rubber bumper on the stock trailers, we're not getting into the hardware. Light switches are right back here. They're all individual. So we have a couple load lights here at the back, couple 8 inches, just like on the side, just a little bit smaller. If you look in the back tail lights, there's a white X in there. That is a backup light, so it's built in. So when you throw your tow vehicle in reverse, this trailer is 26 foot on the floor, 8 foot nose. So again, tail lights on the truck are basically worthless as far as backup. So it's nice to have that light coverage. Again, ton of light on this trailer. Again, you're gonna be really happy with that. You're not gonna be sad about having too many lights in a lot of instances. So speaking of, there you go. Two 16-inch awning lights here on driver's side. Again, one above the tack door, one there kind of middle of that stall area. Again, more hooks or tie rings out here. Escape door, so I can actually hop into that first stall if I want. There is a removable chest bar there too. Again, whether you're using it with that divider or removing it, you can get in or out and access it from right here. And then the driver's side of that front tack. So it's made up, it mirrors the other side. 42-inch wide door, 4-tier blanket pull rack that swings out, and brush tray. Fold up step, and 3-tier swing out saddle rack. So again, it matches the other side of the trailer. Now, since this is the short wall side, you know, this doesn't get tucked around as much as that other one did that we saw, but it does have the capability to, you know, maneuver in and out and get this out of the way. It's the exact same. You can adjust those, you can add more to them, whatever you would like. Fold up step is really easy to use because it's on that gas shock. So I'm going to give you the stock number for reference on this guy. Again, this is a 2026 Cimarron Lonestar Stock Combo with the dual man door tack. Stock number is 5N250225. So we do take trade-in, so if you're looking to upgrade or downsize, we can help you out with that. Financing is available and delivery is an option, so we could potentially bring this to your door. So give us a call. Anybody on the sales team can help you out. That number is 303-684-3400. We appreciate you tuning in. Have a good day.